Have you ever stood up from your chair only to feel your legs trembling like they've forgotten who you are? I see this look every day in my patients' eyes, that split second of fear when their own body doesn't respond the way it used to. And it's terrifying, isn't it? Because once your legs start to weaken, you don't just lose muscle, you start to lose confidence, freedom, and even a piece of your identity. Most people are told, that's just aging. Everyone slows down after 60, but that's a lie wrapped in comfort. Aging is natural, yes, but collapsing strength is not. What if I told you that the real reason your legs feel weaker each year has less to do with your birthday and more to do with what's missing inside your bloodstream tonight? After more than 25 years in medicine, I've learned that one silent deficiency can turn strong men and women into cautious movers overnight. It's not about your workouts, your diet, or even your genetics. It's about the vital nutrients your body stops absorbing as you get older. Nutrients your muscles, nerves, and bones desperately need to rebuild while you sleep. Yet no one talks about them because they're inexpensive, natural, and don't make anyone rich. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you what science has proven, but television never will, that restoring just 3 essential vitamins before bed can reignite muscle repair, sharpen nerve communication, and bring back the steady confidence you thought was gone forever. These aren't magic pills or marketing gimmicks. They're part of your body's original design, waiting to be switched back on. So if you've ever felt that shaky uncertainty when you stand, stay with me. Because tonight you'll understand why your legs aren't betraying you, they're simply asking for what they've been missing all along, and it starts with one overlooked vitamin that controls the very signal between your brain and your feet. Let me start with something I've seen far too often. A patient comes into my office proud that he still walks 2 miles a day, but when he sits down he rubs his thighs and says, "Doc, my legs just don't listen to me anymore." That line always hits me, because behind that small confession hides the quiet truth about why thousands of older Americans start losing strength long before they lose hope. Your legs aren't powered only by muscle fibers, they're powered by messages. Every single step begins with an electrical spark in your brain that travels through nerves like current through a copper wire. When those wires fray, the signal weakens and your muscles respond late, shaky, or not at all. That's why you may feel steady one moment and wobbly the next. The hidden reason, vitamin B12. Think of B12 as insulation around those wires. It keeps nerve signals fast, sharp, and protected. Without enough of it, your body's communication system flickers like a light with a loose bulb, and when the lights flicker inside your own body, fear follows fast. Here's the part most people never hear. After 60, your stomach naturally makes less hydrochloric acid, the acid that frees B12 from protein in food. Even if you eat eggs, chicken, or fish every day, you might still be starving your nerves. According to the National Institutes of Health, nearly 43% of adults over 60 show low or borderline B12 levels, and many have no idea until their balance or memory slips. Low energy, numb toes, nighttime leg cramps. Those aren't random aging issues, they're Morse code signals from your nervous system begging for power. But the problem is fixable if you know how to restore the current. So how do we flip that switch back on? Stay with me. A 2017 study in neurology followed 25,000 seniors for 5 years. Those with low B12 were 60% more likely to fall and 3 times more likely to develop walking problems. That's not coincidence, that's physiology. When B12 drops, the protective myelin sheath around your nerves thins out, slowing every signal between brain and body. Picture an old phone cord, bent, cracked and full of static. That's what your nerve looks like under a microscope when B12 runs low. Fix the insulation and the message becomes clear again, and that clarity can mean the difference between catching yourself or hitting the floor. I remember a 74-year-old retired firefighter who came in using a cane. He was frustrated because his blood work looked fine, but his feet tingled so badly he stopped driving at night. We checked his B12, it was borderline low. Within 2 weeks of supplementing with methylcobalamin, the active form that absorbs directly under the tongue, his energy lifted. By week 6, he walked into the office without his cane. He looked at me and said, "Doc, I didn't get younger. My legs just remembered how to listen." That's what B12 does, it restores the conversation between your brain and your body. And once that conversation starts again, everything else you do for your legs suddenly works better. Here's something most supplement labels never tell you. Your nervous system repairs itself while you sleep. That's the nightly window, when your body rebuilds, myelin recalibrates reflexes, and clears neural waste. Taking B12 before bed, especially the methylcobalamin form, feeds that process at the exact moment it needs fuel. And no, it won't keep you awake. Unlike caffeine, or vitamin B6, B12 actually supports calm brain activity, helping many of my patients sleep deeper and wake steadier. That's why I call it the midnight maintenance vitamin, because when you repair your nerves at night, you don't just wake up refreshed, you wake up reconnected, and that connection is the foundation for every step you'll take tomorrow. If you're curious where to start, keep it simple. Look for methylcobalamin tablets that dissolve under the tongue. They bypass the stomach acid problem entirely. A daily dose of 1,000 to 2,000 micrograms before bed is safe for most people, but always check with your physician if you take metformin or acid-reducing medications. Pair it with hydration and balanced meals rich in folate and iron for maximum absorption. Think of this not as a pill, but as a plug back into your own power source, because once the lights come back on in your nervous system, the whole body starts to move in sync again, and when your body moves in sync, the real muscle work can finally begin, which brings us to the next vitamin that does exactly that. When my patients hear vitamin D, they picture sunshine and bones, not stronger legs. But here's what almost no one realizes: after 60, your body produces about 75% less vitamin D from the same morning walk you've taken for years. That drop doesn't just thin your bones, it quietly drains the very fuel your muscles need to repair. I can often spot low D3 levels before the lab results come back. It's in the way a patient lowers themselves into a chair, slow-guarded, almost negotiating with gravity. They tell me I feel tired for no reason, or my thighs burn at night. That's the first whisper of D3 deficiency. Without D3, your muscle cells lose the cue to build new protein. Imagine a construction crew showing up each night but no one handing them the blueprints. The result? Repairs slow, tissue breaks down, and every step feels heavier than the last. And when walking starts to feel like weightlifting, it's time to look deeper than age. A 20x20 study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism tracked older adults with low D3 for 3 months. Those who supplemented before bed gained 19% more leg strength and had 34% fewer falls compared with those who didn't. That's not a small bump, that's the difference between catching the banister and missing it. The science is clear: D3 activates receptors inside muscle fibers that respond most strongly during deep sleep, the same hours when growth hormone peaks. So if you're taking D3 in the morning, you're missing the very window when it does its best work. Many of my patients think soreness is proof their legs are getting stronger. Not always. Nighttime calf burning or thigh ache can signal low-grade inflammation, the microscopic swelling that slows repair. D3 acts like the fire chief telling your immune system to cool down so muscles can rebuild. In a 2022 Frontiers in Aging study, seniors deficient in D3 had twice the level of nighttime muscle pain and recovered 40% slower. Within 6 weeks of restoring D3, walking speed and balance both improved measurably. Pain isn't punishment, it's feedback, and D3 turns that noise into direction. I'll never forget Helen, 69, a retired teacher. She loved gardening, but complained her legs locked up halfway through watering her roses. Her blood test showed D3 levels in the 20s, barely half of what's considered adequate. We started her on 2,000 IU of vitamin D3 each evening with a spoon of olive oil. 4 weeks later, she sent me a photo. She was standing in her yard hose, in hand, smiling, without that cautious bend in her knees. Her text read, "Feels like my legs woke up." Moments like that remind me the right nutrient at the right time can rewrite years of decline. Here's why I insist on nighttime D3. When you fall asleep, your body enters alternating cycles of repair. During deep sleep, calcium and phosphorus move into muscle and bone under D3's command. Take D3 earlier in the day, and it's half used by sunset. Take it with dinner or an evening snack containing healthy fat avocado salmon or a drizzle of olive oil, and you align the dose with your body's circadian chemistry. Patients often report fewer cramps and steadier morning energy. I call it the moonlight activation. You're giving your body daylight chemistry during darkness, and it responds beautifully. Because the real miracle is not sunlight itself, it's how your body learns to store and release that light when you need it most. For most adults over 60, 2,000 to 4,000 IU of vitamin D3 daily keeps levels between 40 and 60, making ml the sweet spot for muscle and bone strength. Always choose D3 cholecalciferol, not D2, and pair it with vitamin K2 for proper calcium placement. Combine that with 15 minutes of late morning sun exposure when possible. Even filtered light through a window helps your circadian rhythm. And don't worry at these doses, D3 won't disturb sleep. Studies show it may even improve it by calming the nervous system. Because a rested body doesn't just heal faster, it rebuilds stronger. Here's the part that often surprises people: D3 isn't only physical. Adequate levels boost serotonin and dopamine, the feel-good chemicals that lift mood and motivation. When patients tell me they're walking more after supplementing, it's not only because their muscles work better, it's because their mind finally feels like moving again. D3 literally helps you want to stay active, and that desire to move is half the battle against aging. Every night I tell my older patients to follow a 3-minute ritual. First, drink a half glass of water to stay hydrated. Second, take your D3 capsule with a small bite of food containing healthy fat. Third, stretch your calves for 30 seconds before bed. That tiny routine improves absorption, circulation, and muscle readiness. In 8 weeks, you'll feel it. When you step out of bed, the stiffness fades faster, your balance steadies, and you stop reaching for the wall. It's not magic. It's biology done right. And when biology works with you instead of against you, you start thinking about the future again, which brings us to the nutrient that ensures that future stays strong and stable. When most people hear vitamin K, they think of blood clotting. That's K1. But there's another member of the family, vitamin K2, that rarely gets a headline, even though it decides whether your legs stay strong or slowly stiffen. In simple terms, K2 tells calcium where to live. Without it, calcium gets lost, hardening arteries, clouding joints and starving bones. With it, calcium becomes your body's most loyal builder, and that difference determines whether your next decade feels steady or fragile. I've met dozens of patients whose bone scans looked perfect, yet they complained of tight calves, heavy knees and aching thighs. They were taking calcium and D3 like clockwork, but their bodies were misfiling the paperwork. Calcium was drifting into soft tissue instead of bone. That's what happens when K2 is missing. It's like sending cement trucks without an address. They dump their load wherever they find space: blood vessels, tendons, joints. You don't feel it at first, but over years it builds up into stiffness, swelling, and even high blood pressure. A silent traffic jam inside your own body. In 2021, a study in nutrients tracked older adults taking K2 MK7 form for 8 weeks. Quadriceps strength jumped 21%. Balance scores climbed 31%. That's not anecdote, that's biochemistry in action. K2 activates two proteins, osteocalcin, which locks calcium into bone, and matrix GLA protein, which sweeps calcium out of arteries. Together they act like GPS for your minerals. When I explain it that way, patients finally see why years of calcium pills never solved their leg pain. Because the problem was never too little calcium, it was calcium going the wrong way. Years ago, a 76-year-old mechanic named James came in, complaining that his legs felt like rubber bands. He'd tried everything: stretching, protein shakes, even compression socks. His D3 was solid, his calcium perfect, but his X-rays showed calcified arteries snaking down both thighs. We added 100 micrograms of K2MK7 each night. 6 weeks later, his gait test improved by 25%. He grinned and said, "Doc, my legs finally remembered how to work for me again." That's the moment I realised K2 isn't a supplement, it's a map back to movement. And once your body has a map, every other nutrient knows where to go. Vitamin D3 opens the door. K2 tells calcium which room to enter. Without K2, D3 can backfire, pushing calcium into arteries instead of bones. I see this mistake constantly. People feel stiffer after starting D3 because they forgot its partner. The two vitamins are meant to travel together, especially at night, when your body is filing and storing minerals. D3 delivers the raw material, K2 does the construction. Add a small amount of magnesium and you've got the entire repair crew on shift while you sleep. That's how you turn sleep into strength. Another discovery that blew my mind: K2 doesn't just protect bones, it supports blood flow. By keeping arteries flexible, it improves oxygen delivery to your legs. In a trial published in Aging and Disease, seniors on K2 showed better glucose control and 20% greater leg endurance on treadmill tests. More oxygen means less fatigue, fewer cramps, and faster recovery. Patients often describe it as lighter legs. That's not poetic, that's physics. Blood that moves easily moves you, and when your blood moves, your motivation follows. Here's the catch: K2 used to be everywhere. Our grandparents ate fermented foods, grass-fed butter, and organ meats rich in it. Today, most of us eat pasteurized, processed, and sterilized everything. The result? Deficiency on a national scale. Unless you eat aged cheeses, beef liver, or natto, Japanese fermented soybeans, you're likely running low. Even health-conscious people who swear by salads miss K2 because greens contain K1, not K2. That's why supplementation matters, not to replace food, but to restore what the modern diet erased. And restoring what's missing is the simplest anti-aging strategy of all. Look for MK7, the form that stays active in your body up to 72 hours. A dose of 90 to 120 micrograms with dinner or before bed works for most adults. Take it with a fat-containing meal for better absorption. Pair it with D3 and magnesium as your nightly foundation. In 2 months you may notice less stiffness climbing stairs and a clearer sense of balance. Your bones get denser, your muscles fire cleaner, and your heart thanks you quietly with steadier beats. It's amazing how a vitamin most people have never heard of can quietly change the way you walk through life. After working with B12, D3 and K2 for years, I've come to see them as a trio of balance rather than isolated nutrients. B12 restores the signal, D3 rebuilds the structure, and K2 locks the foundation in place. Once these three are in rhythm, patients move with a grace they thought was lost. They don't fear stairs or uneven ground anymore. The body feels reliable again, and that reliability translates into confidence. Because strength isn't just a number on a chart, it's trust in your own legs, and trust is the real measure of youth. At this point you can see the pattern. Your legs aren't failing. They're waiting for permission to heal. Give your body the materials it was designed to use, and it responds faster than you'd believe. I've watched men in their 70s regain the stride of their 40s, women in their 80s take evening walks again. No machines, no miracles, just consistency. That's the real story of aging. Well, you don't fight time, you feed recovery, and recovery happens at night quietly while you sleep, which is why our final moments together will focus on how to bring all these pieces home and how to turn knowledge into action starting tonight. If there's one truth I want you to remember tonight, it's this: your legs are not failing you, they're communicating. Every cramp, every tremble, every late night ache is your body whispering for what it's missing, and we now know exactly what that is. Vitamin B12 brings the signal back online, reconnecting your brain to your feet, reviving balance and coordination that time tried to steal. Vitamin D3 rebuilds the muscle fibers themselves, giving strength a foundation again, especially when taken before sleep. And vitamin K2, the quiet hero, directs calcium where it belongs, into bones, not arteries, so your structure and circulation can work together like they used to. When these three nutrients meet, something remarkable happens. You stop fighting your body, and your body starts fighting for you. The fatigue fades, the steps grow lighter, and that uneasy caution every time you stand up slowly disappears. You remember what confidence feels like, not just in your mind, but in your muscles. I've seen this transformation firsthand, men and women in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, walking taller, steadier, stronger, and not because of luck or expensive treatments, but because they listened to the signals their body was sending and responded with something as simple as the right nutrients at the right time. So tonight, take a moment to listen to your own body. Think about how you've been treating it, what you've been giving it, or what you've been denying it without even realizing. Because small, consistent changes made with intention can rebuild not just your legs, but your entire outlook on life. If this message resonated with you, do something for yourself right now. Save this video so you can revisit it when you need a reminder, or share it with someone you care about, a spouse, a friend, a neighbour who's been struggling with their balance or energy. Sometimes sharing information like this can literally change another person's quality of life. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell. Every week I release new evidence-based health videos designed specifically for people like you, people who want real answers, real science and real solutions to stay strong, mobile and independent as the years go on. Now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, which of these vitamins do you think your body has been missing? Have you noticed changes in your legs or energy levels lately? I read every comment, and I reply personally whenever I can. Because this channel isn't just about medicine, it's about connection. You've got more strength left in you than you realise. Let's unlock it together one night, one habit, one healthy choice at a time.